Hey everyone, my name is Simpsy. How you all doing? Well, we're playing as a proto-India in southeastern Iran, sort of on that Pakistan border. The Mauryan Empire is only in DEI. Now, from what I've experienced limitedly, they're a kinda broken faction. I'm not gonna lie. Their unit roster is very strong. The elephants are great, probably the best in the game. Their melee infantry late on is quite good. Particularly, they got good armor. The spear infantry is kind of mid. Same along with the missiles. Their cav's not the best, but overall a pretty strong roster. So in this series, we're going to be coming up against Arabs, Parthians, Hellenic Greeks in the various successor states, Bactria, the Seleucids, and potentially the Egyptians. So we're going to start things off by securing our dynasty, getting our family members married off. Now, there is a unique government mechanic. It doesn't go by empire, republic, or tribalism. As we're sort of like an extension of the Mauryan Empire out here, we can basically like request certain things, which is quite nice. So there's a fair few ways we can go in this series. We could push down into the Arabian Peninsula. We'll see how things go. It just largely depends on RNG when the Seleucids and their vassals break up. Sometimes they can remain loyal. Sometimes only half of them revolt. And essentially we want to try and divide and conquer those that break off. So I think we'll go with military traditions here. So we currently have the province of Makkah. Now what we want to try and do is get spice as quickly as possible, and we want to try and trade and flog that through the Middle East. So here are the like later heavier units that I was saying. So war animals is probably not a bad idea, getting cavalry and elephants in. So food is going to be an issue as well at some point here in the desert. So maybe getting a grain supply, maybe getting fishing as well at some point. So we do have some elephants. Generals wise, we can get access to elephant generals quite early on. They're expensive, but they're probably worth it in my opinion. So let's start things off while getting just some basic infantry. And we've got two lots of archers from the get-go, Persian and Indian. The Persians have the damage, while the Indians have the range. So at the moment, it's probably not bad to get a mixture of the both, as obviously you want the damage to inflict higher damages, but the range allows you to start peppering the enemy a lot sooner, and it might even cause the enemy to close the distance on your army in a land battle, and might be more, it gives them more of an incentive to close the distance and engage you. So having a mixture of the two is probably not a bad idea. Start reducing hit points and follow up with the heavies. Okay, so we're currently Hinduism as our culture, so there's not going to be any other essentially allied factions. So here's the government actions. We can set up colonies, we can go with Hellenic interchange, we can spread Buddhism, and we can request additional reinforcements. Now this is quite expensive, and there are negative bonuses to do so. So I don't know if it's going to be quite some time where we're going to have like a spare 10k, 5k here and there, and then there's negative benefits. So I'm unsure how many times we're going to actually use these. Okay, so getting the entire province here is probably our play, and it's probably not a bad idea to get an additional general in. We do have a bunch of family members, so we want to try and get our faction leaders to, well, start leading. So here are the 4 units you can get from. So that's pretty good. An infantry unit, a chariot unit, a cavalry unit, or an elephant unit. So I think we'll go with the elephant riders there. It is going to cost us a pretty penny of 950 coins, but then the upkeep is even a lot on top of that, so you're really spending next to nearly 2,000 off the rip, so that's something to keep an eye on. Alright, let's end the turn and continue. Oh, Axum has war decked us. You gotta be kidding me, man. So these are Egyptians down here. Okay, so we just got the RNG of being attacked. Great. Okay, so at the top of the turn, we might actually negotiate peace with Axum. I don't know why they straight up declared war upon us. That's just infuriating. Sometimes you can get lucky. Yeah, if you're quick enough, you can do it straight away before you do any actions. I think you can usually force for peace. That was just anti-player bias coming in, so that's annoying. Okay, so I think I want to get a spice route here, because that's quite valuable. We'll be able to trade that as a resource, because spice is an amazing resource in Rome too. The only problem is we're obviously locked down here due to the Red Sea and the Arabian Peninsula. So until we get a port in the Levant area towards Antioch, we're not going to be able to trade with most of Western Europe. Okay, welcome to the top of the turn. Oh, perfect. So Ascragat, the Parthians to the west of us, have actually declared their independence. Oh, that's really perfect. Well, let's mobilize our military forces, and we'll get a dignitary and a spy as well. So, looks like we're going to be pushing westward a lot earlier. Alright, so in this particular campaign, there's a fair few ways we can go. I think basically becoming the supreme governors of Persia is the ideal. It's easier said than done, because you don't want to push too far north into the Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, like Kazakhstan, modern day territory, and then get cut up by cavalry horse lords. Also, if the Seleucids hold, you don't want this Hellenic, Greek, Egyptian, because it's technically Greek at the moment. The Ptolemaic monarchy is ruling over the lands of Egypt. And Bactria to gang up against you, so we'll just sort of see how we go. So there's also Persians and Parthians. There is a difference, so we'll see how we go with that. So we're going to join that war and essentially go after the successor state here. So we've gotten quite lucky that the first faction to rebel is on our border, so we'll be able to push up and take Bam, and then the port city hopefully as well. So I might try and secure some alliances, maybe with Bactria, maybe with Persia, Media, the Arabian states. I haven't decided just yet. We'll just see how we go. You can actually try and conquer that southern Arabian peninsula if you want to, but it's just logistically going to be a little bit hard to get over there. So there's a fair few ways you can go in this campaign. Okay, so we've got an attrition report. We've lost a couple hundred, which is understandable. Okay, so let's activate the dignitary here as we make our way through the desert. Now, I'm just going to move my spy north. We don't want to be moving into the fog of war and getting intercepted by an army if we don't have to. That's good. So it looks like they've been pushed south more. So we're going to try and take Bam. Can I get to there without losing attrition? There's not much of a garrison there, though. Mostly Persian infantry. Also, as we're in a bit of a in Iran, we're sort of in a cluster of cultures at this time period. So in DEI, which is fantastic, we're going to have access to Persian, Parthian, I guess like Hellenic troops as well, maybe even some Arabian as well, which would be cool. Can't get many trade rights just yet. Seems like they're going to be sitting there down in Hermosia. Alright, let's end the turn and continue. Research complete. We've encountered Pontus. Okay, so why do we see them? I don't know why. They're so far north. We can't get any negotiations with them, which is understandable. Okay, well, let's move you westward, just in case you get attacked. You can bring in the garrison, and we don't want to waste movement, so we'll sit you there. We'll get some more recruitment on the way, and let's go with logistics 1, I think, or maybe we're better off going with economy, preferred markets. Yeah, maybe getting the wealth, because we are running a little bit low at the moment. We haven't even got a full stack, and we can't really rely on heaps and heaps of trade rights for this particular campaign. Alright, let's move into Bam now. Alright, so we're actually outnumbered slightly. Not the best army in the garrison, but numerically they have quite a few. We're about 65% to win this one, but only 58% of our forces will remain. We'll manually play it and have our first battle of the campaign. Okay, so they're going to come out and march against us, so let's see how we go. Now, heavy chariots in Rome too are traditionally very, very strong, but maybe not so much with this Indian variant. So here is our Hindu, Indian, Mauryan infantry. Look how fantastic these guys look. And then we've got our Persian archers and Indian archers in the rear as well. Okay. He's got a tiger on his back. Alright. Let's advance. Put the chariots on the left. Same with our archers. Try and close the distance. We'll deploy our elephants as well, but they have taken a little bit of attrition there. They're essentially light elephants. All they've got is a tarp on them. So, unfortunately, a couple of them didn't make it over the mountains. Very cool, with various war paints. Alright, let's quickly move up. So, we're going to use the turmoil in the Seleucid Empire. Various vassals are rising up, declaring their independence. And now that they won't be saved by General Seleucus or his descendants, Antiochus and whatnot, won't send an army to save the conquest of them. So let's move up. We'll be able to use our Indian archers for the range, and then the Persians to deal the damage once they come in. Slowly but surely moving to the open field. Now, here are the Persian archers. Now, we're going to have range on them, so we're going to start peppering them soon. And they've also got spearmen there as well. But let me know tips and tricks in the comments for you guys that have played a Mauryan Empire campaign. It's been so requested. It's on the list. Same with a bunch of other Total War Rome 2 campaigns. I still technically haven't played as Nabatea. There's still a fair few Thrace as well. So we've wrapped up the Rome 2 Stainless Steel campaign recently. I've still got the save for the Massalia one, but I feel like forming a Hellenic Greece is now done. But I've got some time here to start this particular campaign, record a bunch, and start uploading you this particular series as much as I can. So support it if you want to see more, and yeah, let me know how your campaign goes, because there's a fair few ways you can go in this campaign. I'm trying to think we should just make a thunder run to Greece or something. That might be quite fun. I would love to see how this unit roster actually goes up against Greeks in, well, Greece, or the Carthaginians or whatnot. It's going to take us quite some time to like invade Greece, but I would love to see Indian units over there. Okay, so our Indian archers are starting to put down some arrows. They're starting to loose off, and it does seem like the Persians are now getting their shots off as well. Alright, we are just eviscerating their Persian archers there. We'll move around with our chariots. Now they have taken a little bit of damage attrition wise, so we'll try and slink around here. Preferably we won't go for the infantry just yet. We'll make sure we go with melee mode so they properly get an engaged charge. Okay, I'm going to move my archers back here as they've overextended over that front line as they're starting to close the distance. Let's move back. My general is going to try and focus on one of the remaining arch units. Thankfully we've been quite strong in defeating the 2 arch units. There's only one left. And then I guess we'll go for the general. We're keeping my elephants further back. Even a couple stray shots, I don't particularly want to lose them. Okay, they're starting to... Okay, on that right-hand side, they're starting to peel off and charge. Now, they charged and now they're not exactly committing. They were trying to wrap around, I guess. So we'll give out some attack orders, as they are mostly spearmen and they are a garrison. This is not a proper field army, so they will be lacking somewhat. Okay, I think the chariots have caused a little bit of kerfuffle. Okay, there's an opportunity here to surround and throw a lot of our units into this, but here we go. Brave sons of India. Nice. Looking to conquer the Middle East. Okay, they're just like instantly evaporated. Let's go for the general unit. Now, might have to be a little bit careful with him as it is a phalanx, but his army is melting around him regardless if he holds as a general. They're now crushed. The battle is very much turning in our favor. Let's peel some units down to deal with the general. We might even get a good charge in here. So I haven't really seen the chariots in too much action just yet. They're not like the vanilla Rome 2 chariots for Egypt. They're actually like busted. But I think they're a little bit more well balanced in DEI. We'll get a charge in, we'll see how we go. Yeah, they just seem to be not as impactful as I would like. Because chariots in most Total Wars are just busted, especially vanilla. They're very, very hard to balance. Nice, victory. We continued on just to run them down, and we claimed a decisive victory, only losing 92 men. Not the most difficult of battles, but I thought we should manually play our first just to get a bit of a taste and a tease and get familiar with this unit roster. So far, infantry, mixture of archers, good. Let's occupy. Bam! Thank you, ma'am. And, oh, okay. So it's a unique building. Minus banditry, holdout, wealth, all regions. Okay. Yeah, so there's quite a few cities in the Middle East here with very unique bonuses. Obviously, we got like the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. There might even be a couple of others here and there as well. So, fertile grounds for conquest here. Okay, so they're just down in the south. So they are a Persian denomination. These guys are Persian. And then we've got like Parthia and the Parthians, and we've got like Media up there. Okay, so they do have an army there we have to look out for. Let's continue on. Huh, okay, so they're going to come down and hit... that army. Okay, so we're going to retreat. Will they still attack? And they will. Oh, okay. Jeez. This is actually going to be a little bit tight. There's a fair few in that reinforcing army. We're favoured to win, but we're going to manually play this one because I think it's going to be closer. Alright, so first defensive siege of the campaign. Let's start. I don't want to put too many of those barricades down because it's going to probably cause friendly fire. So this first army, this unit here is going to come up. Could even send an army out to try and intercept it. We've got reinforcements coming in as well. Okay, so here come the Persians looking to retake their city. I got a little bit lucky, the Rome 2 bug, where they just like abandoned it and we're going for another target. That can sometimes happen, I don't know why they just leave. Or maybe they didn't see us in the fog of war, potentially. You do have to take that into consideration sometimes. Alright, so our Indian archers here up on the walls are going to start to get some shots off. Nice. I don't think the general unit there is going to be able to get torches off. To start engulfing the gateway. So they're just trying to waste my ammunition there. I do think they're taking some casualties because of it, so not too bad overall as a strategy. So we're going to sit back and just try and rain arrow tower fire upon them. We've got an unlimited amount. It's going to do the highest amount of damage. And we've got a decent amount of archers as well. They're going to start peppering. So hopefully we can soften them up enough before they make their main assault. I can't see them taking this city back, as they don't have any siege equipment. Okay, so the balance of power has actually swung back about 50-50, just because of the numbers. Oh, they do have siege equipment, but it's on this other side here. Oh, okay, because... What? How did they have siege equipment? Because they only had one unit. And it was the general. Maybe they just get it spawned? Oh, okay, so that's so bad for them. Well, hang on. We've got those reinforcing units. If we can sort of just sit around with that siege equipment we can stop them coming up. We might be able to get rid of this cavalry unit, though. That would be ideal. If we could get rid of that, that would give us a pretty decent morale boost overall. Now, this doesn't seem to be the most overly micro-heavy battle, so during battles, I tend to talk history in these Total War Let's Plays. So let's talk about the Mauryan Empire. one of the largest and most powerful empires in ancient India. It was founded by Chandragupta Maurya in 32 BCE. I'll try and get the pronunciation properly, but I'm not Indian, so my apologies. So the rise of the Mauryan Empire marked a significant turning point in Indian history, unifying most of the Indian subcontinent. So 322 and 298 BCE, Chandragupta Maurya established the empire, overthrowing the Nanda dynasty with the help of his advisor Chandrakya, who was an author, an ancient Indian state craftsman, political policy, and military advisor. Under Chandragupta's rule, the empire expanded to northern India and parts of modern-day Iran and Afghanistan, which is where we occupy. He is also credited with repelling the invasion of Alexander the Great's successors in the region, so hopefully we can do the same. 298 and 273 BCE, son Bindusara, who further extended the empire's boundaries southward. Bindusara maintained a vast empire effectively, but his reign is not as well documented as his father's or sons, unfortunately. The most renowned Mauryan ruler was Asoka the Great. In 268 to 232, he ascended to the throne after a power struggle following Bindusara's death. Initially, Asoka continued the expansionist policies of his predecessors and fought a war in Kalinga around 260 BC. The devastation and immense loss of life during this war led Asoka to a profound transformation. He embraced Buddhism, renounced violence, and dedicated his life to spreading the teachings of the Buddha. Asoka's reign is marked by his efforts to promote moral law, social welfare, and religious tolerances across his empire. He also erected a number of inscribed pillars and edicts on rocks throughout the realm, which can still be seen to this day. After Asoka's death, historically, the Mauryan Empire became not as influential and ultimately began to decline. Successive rulers couldn't maintain the vast and diverse empire effectively. Internal strife, weak leadership, economic issues further weakened the empire. In 85 BCE, the last Mauryan ruler was taken out by his general, and a new dynasty was founded, the Shuanga dynasty, marking the end of the Mauryan Empire. So although the Mauryan Empire fell 2 millennia ago, it still has a pretty long-lasting impact on modern India in various ways. Its central administration, promotion of trade, spread of Buddhism, some various architectural achievements has, even today, shaped modern India's political structures, cultural heritage, and national identity, which I think is kind of cool. So if you're looking for a more in-depth and sort of more scholarly insight into the Mauryan Empire, I'd probably recommend Asoka and the Decline of the Mauryans by Ramilia Thapa, which is pretty good. It just basically talks about Asoka's reign and then decline of the Mauryan Empire. Also just the Mauryan Empire by Rad Hakumed, I think that's who it is. Goes into administration and cultural achievements. So I'd recommend those two if you want to have some expanded reading. So I hope you enjoyed that brief, short history. Let me know in the comments if there's any other Mauryan history you want me to hone in on. Maybe talk about specific Mauryan rulers a little bit more. But for this particular campaign, we want to essentially stabilize these outer provinces and maybe push westward as far as we can. Give Alexander the Great a little bit of his own medicine. But at the moment, the successor kingdoms are in decline, so it's a really good chance to go against them. I don't know who would be our natural enemy. Probably everyone. We're sort of against the world. I haven't decided overall strategically what's in our best interest of allying with the Persians, allying with the Parthians, allying with the Arab states, or potentially the Hellenic kingdoms. At the moment, it's easier to pick apart the smaller Persian kingdoms that have declared their independence from Seleucid rule, and so maybe that we're going to be able to farm relations with Hellenic kingdoms more. I would imagine, like, thinking from the tactical, from a campaign and militarily perspective, the Hellenic kingdoms are going to be harder to defeat in big cities because the Hellenic roster is more defensive. And yeah, basically if you're attacking a huge city and settlement with hoplites in it, is going to be quite hard with our unit roster. But in saying that, we don't particularly want to be facing Parthians that are just going to carve us up in an open field battle. And we don't want to go too far north into the steppes and we're fighting Cossacks and horse lords, essentially. Okay, so I've just given the order to charge out of this gateway here because they were getting a little bit too close, so we can push them back. But at the moment, I really can't see us losing this. We've managed to strategically and tactically take the city in an auto-resolve. And at the moment, they seem to just try and push for the gateways. They're going for the manual burning of the gateway attack, which doesn't seem to be working for them. We might charge out a little bit more here. Okay, so looking at the balance of power, yeah, look at that. It's massively swung higher up into our favor, which is fantastic. But overall, if we continue like this, we're going to be able to get another victory under our belt. So you just have to be a little bit careful. We'll see how we go now. And if we can go to war with some of the other successor kingdoms, we'll see. But some of them might still remain loyal, so we'll see where we go. Alright, we're going to engage some Persian spearmen here with our Mauryan allied infantry. Man, they look cool. Not the highest attack. The armor looks good. I do think that the Indian roster, like, it gets kind of insane towards the end. It's a little bit busted, but I get it. It's not in vanilla. There are some setbacks, because you are needing to slowly but surely push and convert the culture, so you don't get access to those Indian units just yet. It takes a fair bit of investment and time and money, and you basically, if you can't get a port on that western, well, it's I guess the eastern side of the Mediterranean, you're not going to be able to trade all these valuable resources, so we'll just see how we go. We're not going to be overly too profitable with that trade. Yeah. Well, the thing is, we kind of need to trade with factions. I don't know. We'll see how we go. Got a rough idea where I want to go in this campaign, and hopefully we can feel it. But hey, it's the sandbox experience of Total War. Generals can be taken out, and leaders, factions can rise and fall. Who knows what's going to happen here? We still have, like, Armenia, Pontus, Galatia. They might expand their influence. By the time we get to maybe Greece or Asia Minor, who knows, Rome might expand quite effectively. But we shall see. Okay, overall I can't see us losing this now. We've got 4 or 5 units operating, actively fighting outside the castle walls now. But so far, this unit roster early on can be a little bit squishy. Because we are taking a lot of losses. But maybe it's because of the Persians. They do have a higher skirmisher volume. They've got some pretty good cavalry as well. Haven't even played as Persia. Media. Or we haven't played as Parthia in DEI, so maybe that should be on the list as well. Okay, let's charge on in. And I would imagine they're not going to last too much longer after this charge. Go on, Mauryan Empire sons, brave sons of India. Nice, decisive. Let's end that there. Okay, decisive, but we still lost 500. Which is still quite a bit in the defensive siege. Okay, so we've won during the end turn phase, which is fantastic. We did lose a unit, unfortunately. Okay, so hopefully this is the last of them. The garrison is still quite weak. And we'll try and run down the last of them at the top of the turn. They want trade, Himyar. Gonna say no. An edict has been issued. And this is what we currently control. So there's a fair few kingdoms surrounding us. Okay. So I can't upgrade this industrial building just yet. It's probably not a bad idea to do so at some point. We do have a market port here. Do we go with trade or we get some shipping in? Let's upgrade BAM, because it's always good to upgrade the settlement if you can. Maybe getting better quality agricultural buildings is probably not a bad idea either. Because we are very, very low in the food department. Once we start taking more settlements, it's going to add up. So let's quickly rotate this around, and we'll try and run down the last of them here. And this will be the first successor state vassal to fall. Okay, so let's go after the second army. There's one more here. Oh, technically we're going to get the trespass penalty. That's just annoying. Let's enslave. And Ahsoka's command stats are going to go up. Nice. Let's move you back here. Replenish and repair where we can. And we'll move back to Pura because they're going to have more replenishment, I imagine. Might try to get some Mauryan axemen where we go. And then we'll look to go after potentially another target on our border. If it doesn't put us in direct contact with the Seleucids, but we'll see. So overall, I think we've played the first couple of initial turns quite well. Okay, so let's give out some more stats here before we end the turn and continue. So we've managed to take 2 pieces of territory on our border quite quickly. So, bam, and then obviously not offensively sieging that city in the south is pretty good. I feel like we could have lost a lot of casualties in that fight if we were to siege and hold it out. We just got lucky when they moved out. It sometimes happens. I don't know why armies get weird around port cities. It happens sometimes. Okay, welcome to the top of the turn. No huge developments to recap. Alright, so where do we go now? We need to restructure this. We've got 3 armies now. Bindusara. And then Ahsoka there. Let's move a baggage train in. That's going to help us massively with our supply. And let's just do that. Okay, so at the moment, our economy is still quite limited. Just because we can't do trade farming. It's not the most profitable here in this part of the Far East. Okay, let's get you married off. So, Bindusara is our faction leader, and Ahsoka is our heir. So we'll try and get, what, 2 full stacks, and then we'll look for our next target. We'll see how we go. I would rather not attack someone to go to war with the Seleucids, although they are pretty far away with their capital in Antioch. They're still quite strong. So what have we got here? So 2, 3... okay. So they're actually remaining loyal, a lot of them still. Okay, so not as many rebelling as I thought. The Seleucids are just at war with so many, I just assumed that more have and will rebel, so maybe I'm mistaken in that. Anyway, we'll build up 2 full stacks and repair, and then we'll make a decision on what to exactly do. Magna Graecia secured, that's good. Child is born as well. Nice. Now we are using submods for this campaign. The one I do prefer is Expanded Family Tree. It adds up like a fertility rate. I do find that the family trees just don't grow anywhere quick enough in DEI. So if you do want access to the submods, you can become a channel member. And the mod list is there in the community tab and in the Discord. Okay, so Indo-Hellenic units there. Interesting. So, once we build up, we might actually be better off to move into Arabia. Now, that is a little bit risky. One, we have to cross over a large body of water. We're going to need a navy. They are divided, which is nice. And if we go after the Arabs, we're not going to be angering too many of the other Persian nations. We haven't really been fighting Parthians. But if we go all the way over there, we can get carved and cut up in the desert. So, I don't know. And we're not connecting, so there will be a little bit of border gore. It's not going to be that aesthetically pleasing once we start painting the map a good old Mauryan blue. Our dignitary's gone up, so let's continue to get minus construction bonuses, which is always nice. Let's continue on. Research complete at the top of the turn. We've got a troubled populace. Okay. So let's have a look. So here are the Seleucids in Mesopotamia. They're only like one settlement around us, and all of these guys are currently their strappies still. So unfortunately, I'm mistaken. I've been quite unlucky in this playthrough. These factions either should have declared their independence, risen up, or maybe should have been attacked by other nations. So only one rose up. We can't go after these guys. Can't go after them, Parthia and Parsa. These guys, Bactria should own that. So, what do we got here? In Oman, the Mesquets. These are the Arabs here. They are at war with Hagar, so maybe we could ally with them. So, I think... Oh, this is going to be so risky. I think it might be worth the squeeze. So, we're going to now make plans and preparations to go into Arabia. Yikes. We're going to launch an Arabian expedition. Ahsoka of Arabia. Or Bindasara of Arabia. He's got the hat. He might be able to look a little bit like Lawrence. Okay, so we're going to need a navy to do that, because DEI, navigating waterways, is quite treacherous. In vanilla, you don't even really need to worry about it, but in DEI, supply is such a massive concern. We're going to need a navy, and you never know, there might be pirates down in the Red Sea, disrupting trade lanes, if you get the reference. Anyway, so we want to try and build a navy. We need to go there and protect the Red Sea and the vital trade lanes. 2,000 years earlier. Okay, so what do we need for that though? It's going to take a little bit of investment to get a military pier. The thing is, well, then it's locked on this side of the map, so I don't know. They want trade. No, for now. Ships built. 1. Many more to come. Okay, let's move my spy into this sort of territory. I want to see what's happening here. I want to see what's happening into Nabatea, Egypt, and whatnot. I want to see what's happening in this side of the world. So, I think for now, we want to try and build up our power and influence. I think if we were to go to war with one of those vassals, I don't think we can get around the Seleucid vassalship. Oh, we're going to put a veteran in, just to give us some more additional stats and bonuses for our main army. Let's move Bindasara there. And give Bindasara the best army. I might just switch one of those infantry out. Okay. And Bindasara is going to head on over to Arabia. Now this can be quite risky, because there's a big army there. And he's not going to have much supply or help, and there's nowhere to run to. So, it is high risk, but maybe high reward. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend leaving the Middle East to go into Arabia if you're doing your own Mauryan playthrough, but we'll see how we go. So let's just have a look. So they are divided, thankfully. We might be able to use Eastern Oman as a staging area. Yeah, we're just not going to be able to go to war with them. Damn. Maybe we just have to wait a little bit longer. I do think there's like phases of Seleucid rebellion, so maybe it just takes time. But it seems like the Seleucids are holding their kingdom together. They usually get ganged up on by a lot of factions, but we'll just see how this goes. That's the thing is with Total War, every single campaign is different. So they are going to attack me here. Look, you know what? With a really risky strategy here. We might have bitten off more than what we can chew. So, we managed to destroy 13 units off the rip, but unfortunately, just because due to the movement, I wasn't able to connect my two forces up here. So, Bindusara, faction leader, has been essentially caught here. Now, this Arab roster does have a lot of axemen, so that's concerning. I don't know how they're going to overall perform against the allied swordsmen. This will be a real test. Our archers should be pretty good. But basically, although we're at number 2-1, we just want to try and inflict as many casualties as we can, so that the second army will basically mop up. We do have a slight high ground advantage here, and I'm actually going to charge and close the distance once they get a little bit closer up. So we're going to use our high ground advantage and charge before the second army comes up. So as long as we can do heaps of impact to this first army, which is not the garrison army's coming in, we'll make it easier for the second army. So here we go. I nearly probably wouldn't recommend in your particular campaign, if you're playing as the Mauryans, to go into southern Arabia. There's just so many chances of just getting caught in the open like this. Logistically very hard. But unfortunately we just didn't get the RNG of heaps of the strappy vassals rising up and fighting each other. So instead of just wasting turns in our territories in southern Persia, I think it's worth the play to do this. But anyway, if we lose 2 full stacks, we can always just go back and replenish and repair, I guess. So we'll see if this expedition is successful. Okay, so we've got 1 unit here we'll be able to wrap around. Nice. Charge. So even some of these units seem to have axemen in them anyway. Okay, so we're basically just going to try and go for a Pyrrhic victory here, I think. Nice, we've managed to crush this right-hand side. Archers still peppering shots, getting those hit points off. Now we're starting to flank, perfect. There we go, now start working your way down this front line. Need to make sure we go after as many of them as we can. Right. Oh, nice. Okay, so this was like 95 to 99% not in our favour. Let's swing around here where we can. Perfect. But sometimes you don't have to go into the southern Arabia Peninsula because you're too busy preoccupied with the Persians, the Parthians, and the Greek successor states. But early on, our roster is still pretty busted with elephants and archers. Infantry's not the best. Our infantry will start going insane. Like the Indian unit roster towards the late game is just some of the best armor for units. Like they're so good. Okay, right, let's continue to work down this. So they're a little bit scattered. Oh, that general unit's coming back here. Hang on, countercharge that. You might get a lucky RNG and snipe the general. Bindusara is quite weak as a general unit. Nice. So we've managed to crush a good chunk of the initial army. My archers are still peppering their shots off. They've managed to use 1/3 of their ammunition. So that's good. Make sure we're still giving out attack orders. Yep, so far, the axemen aren't doing as well as they would like. Our men are wavering in some portions. Some of them have taken quite high casualties. The Arab unit roster actually isn't too bad. They've got pretty decent spearmen from what I remember. Like heavier spearmen early on. I think just their later units aren't the best. Maybe Dambatia is a bit better, but Muscat actually isn't a top tier faction. Okay, can we get this heavy unit done? Okay, so now the reinforcements have arrived, but with our second army, we should have enough. Oh, this is going to be so close. I reckon we can win this now. We're in a really good position. So reform, move back up and reform, just to protect those archers. But if you haven't gone and watched the first episode, highly recommend you do. We managed to go after one Seleucid puppet, crush them. We also talked about the history of the Mauryan Empire, of Bindusara, Ashoka. Okay. Still got the general unit here. He's quite weak though. Still peppering them here. Okay, let's reform this. But once again, this is my first time playing as the Mauryan Empire in Total War Room to DEI in my Submoddy campaign. So I bounce from Total Wars back and forth quite often, so I'm always constantly relearning. But if you've played a Mauryan Empire campaign, let me know some advice in the comments. I'd appreciate it. How did your particular campaign go? I've got a rough idea what I want to do. Basically divide and conquer, pick apart the strappy kingdoms that are going to rebel. I haven't decided who to go against, because basically how it works is you kind of like play the cultures and factions against each other. If you tend to be fighting a lot of Hellenic Greeks, you want to be like Bactria, Egypt, the Seleucids. If you tend to be fighting them, you're probably going to just naturally farm good relations with the Persians and the Parthians. Vice versa as well. If you're going after Parthians, you might be better off allying with the Persians. Armenia and I guess the Arabs are the two sort of bordering cultural groups. And then there's the steppe nomads further north. So just we'll see how we go. I would love to fully conquer Persia for India, but that's easier said than done. We don't want to go too far into the steppes though. And also we don't want to go too far south, west even, into the countries in and around the Red Sea, like Ethiopia, Sudan. There's still like an Egyptian kingdom down there. Okay, so my center has crushed here. I can't see us winning this now. At the moment, we're just going to go full helter-skelter and just try and inflict as much damage as we can. So we'll just try and kite them around. Yeah, we just simply, it's just DEI. Numbers matter so much. And they're just going to have the numbers on us here. 2 to 1 is always tricky. And technically it's still another 500. So unfortunately, I think we're going to lose this one. But have we dealt enough damage to still ultimately win the war? It might be a defeat, but a Pyrrhic victory potentially. I don't really want to get Bindasara knocked out. We'll go for this general unit though. Nice, there we go, we got rid of him. So that's not too bad in the grand scheme. But have we done enough for the second army to mop up? It's just our money is so tight at this point in the campaign. Although we've got a bunch of resources, some of the most lucrative and the best in the game, with spice and the quarry and whatnot, we just don't have access to the Mediterranean trade market. Or just that lucrative maritime trade that goes up from the Aegean to the Western Mediterranean and Greece and Italy and Spain and whatnot. And how trade lanes work in Total War Rome 2 is you need to connect your capital to the regional port. So if we are going to want to trade, unless there's a way for us to move our capital, we're going to have to create basically a bridge from southern Persia, Iran, to somewhere in the Levant, up towards Antioch. Yeah, Syria, Egypt, I don't know exactly. It's going to be tough, because then we could just start farming, but it's a lot of conquering, a lot of territory in between there. Okay, so we're going to lose this, which is not good, but we might have done enough damage for it to be successful. I might actually just go for this archer unit here, hang on. So Bindasara is engaged still. Do I just continue to... No. Yeah, let's withdraw him now. Damn. So what's there? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units remaining. Okay, so I think we can work with this, but we are going to technically get a defeat on our record. Costly enemy victory. That's what we want. So 3,500. Is that enough? We lost probably more than what I liked there. How many units remained still? Oh, like 3. A valiant defeat. Let's do 1,000 difference. We got rid of the generals though, so that should be good. Oh, we depleted them so much. Is that second army going to be enough now though? Although during the end turn phase here, we just lost all those units. We are at the top of this turn going to get a massive financial boost because we're not paying for anyone. So we can essentially... Oh my god, military setback. Minus 50% campaign movement and morale. Oh my god, that's a devastating trait. Okay, so our movement has just been cooked. And now we're going to have to rely on mercenaries. So, a lot of these are just archers. So we'll siege that out. And we'll try and get some camel riders. Is that all we've got access to? We can't get any spearmen here. To be fair, that's not too bad for a settlement that doesn't have walls. And then we need this army over here now. At least we'll be able to move Bindasara further south. Okay, have we done enough? Or have we set back this campaign? I could maybe stop that building. Oh, we're actually favoured to win that one in order resolve. It's Pyrrhic. I reckon if I manually play that, it'll be better. I'm going to play this. We outnumber... Oh no, it's even actually, I think. Or they slightly outnumber us by about 200. Okay, I think we can archer spam this. Now, I didn't deliberately make this just an archer spam unit. It just happened to be that. It's actually going to work perfectly, though. So 3 units of the Indian archers, and then we've got... Oh, we've got an infantry unit here coming in from... Oh, that's pretty good. We'll use that then. And we've got an elephant. So, we're not favoured to win this one either. They're actually... Oh, perfect. This is that settlement that doesn't have many... Okay. I think we've just become really lucky here. Hang on. And we've got Persian archers, which have more damage. So let's advance with our limited infantry here. And the camels. Oh, because it's so narrow. Oh, okay. So this settlement doesn't have many ways in. There's like 3 here, as you can see. And they're narrowly going for this bit here. If we can cluster them in that corridor, we're going to be laughing. So we're going to send in these... camel riders, so, and the elephants as well. We'll try and pin them down. Okay, we're just going to crush them, and then we're going to get archers to hit that blob there. Okay, hopefully we've done enough. Jeez, why are they so numerically strong down here? Like, there's so many of them. We invaded with 35 units, a stack and a half, and it still nearly hasn't been enough. Yeah, luckily we did that auto-resolve. Okay, look at this. So, because we're just archer spamming this now, against essentially what is garrison units, there are some major units in there that have been recruited from the main army, but they're so weak. So we should be able to now just push into this, pin them down in this narrow corridor with our limited number of infantry, and we're just going to absolutely rain hellfire, spitfire right down them, and we should be able to soften them up. Because one of the major things that garrison units don't have is armor. And archers are going to be really high damage here. And we've got the Persian archers as well that have not the range, but they've got the damage. Just got to be a little bit careful with my elephants here. We'll try and cycle charge them where we can. But although we've done this risky play, it's only just paid off. So I nearly wouldn't recommend this for your campaign, but I don't know. It might be nice just to have a port city here. I don't know. Do we go further into the interior? After this, maybe I just need to be a little bit more cautious. Okay, let's continue to give out some more attack orders. I think we can make this venture profitable. Maybe leveling up our generals' experience and units, but jeez. Still haven't claimed victory just yet. Okay, so let's make sure my archers are getting some off angles. If you can get your archers and skirmishers to hit the sides and the rear of units, avoid the shields, that's optimal. Without sacrificing them getting engaged and attacked, obviously. You don't want to overextend them, but you can't really get there that far. So I think just peppering here is safe. Varying the angles, the off angles is always good. Continue to pepper into there. Let's go with a side charge here with the elephants. Thankfully, we got actually camels instead of proper horse riders and cavalry, because that's actually probably helped us here, because what camels tend to have is really slow movement but decent armor, and they're for holding, so better than nothing, but nearly like a mounted infantry unit that's really quite slow. Like in Total War you want to have heavies that are quick and can cycle charge and hammer and anvil, but the camels are actually acting now at the moment as an infantry unit, and a lot of them are starting to waver here now, particularly these light spearmen. Still putting the damage down, and look at this. The battle has swung to about a 60% in our favour, so we should be able to claim victory here today. And take our first piece of territory in Oman. And set up a principality, I guess. An extension of our kingdom. So who would have thought the Indians are going to cross over from their frontier provinces in the Middle East, and they're going to set up a outpost and outcropping here in the Arabian Peninsula. And as we're going after the Arabian tribes, they might be going against the Egyptians, like the Numidians. No, what are they called? Oh, I can't remember. The Kingdom of Kush. That's it. Potentially. Or maybe they might be going against the Hellenic Greeks in Egypt. I don't know.
The men are wavering.
Anyway, I don't think it's really going to harm our relations that much for us expanding into the peninsula. Okay, we're still not out of the woods just yet, and we'll have to be a little bit careful here, because there's still some skirmishes. They are targeting my elephants, but thankfully they're quite heavily armoured. The Mauryans have the best elephants in the game, and a huge variety of them as well, so they're going to be able to stay engaged a little bit longer. I would say the Seleucids, followed by the Carthaginians, have the best next lot of elephants. Okay. Ooh. Still a couple of units remaining. Oh, nice. This naval infantry unit's come on in. Look at this. That's quite heavily armoured. So, this is a general infantry unit, and we're going to see them towards the mid to late game. Nice. Let's end the battle there, as it is a settlement. They've got nowhere to run. Decisive victory. Outnumbered by a couple of hundred, and although we took that defeat, we're going to be able to tactically claim victory here today. Oh my god, we crushed them. Okay, so that was just one faction we've taken out, Muscat, and now we're in Arabia Felix. And we need to replenish and repair massively. We're going to commission more infantry units to be sent on over, and Bindasar and Ashoka are going to replenish and repair. Oh, yeah, Arabian auxiliaries. Yeah, look at that. So they got quite decent 15 stats. Not I was going to say decent armor, but that's not necessarily true. Okay, we're just basically going to need a ferry over units, and I guess we're going to need to rely on the local Arab units where we can. Oh, this is really bad, actually. Well, oh my god, we've actually been divided and conquered here. Hang on, if I move this here, Bindasara, we'll siege that. Can you come in as reinforcements? Yes, you can. Okay. So this is... Oh, this actually might have worked. Hang on, I'm going to manually play this one. And we'll have a... Jeez, a 13,000 man battle. I nearly should auto-resolve, but I kind of want to play it. It'll be a good battle. They're actually going to come out against us? Oh, okay. Okay, so... I guess this might have worked if there was only one stack. There is two, so it's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so we're going to just cluster up here. We'll wait for those additional reinforcements to come in. They might even close the distance against us. Okay, so although that settlement was ours, we only held it for a season, so basically it's still very much their territory. If we were to fight this in a... So Egypt would have been good. A land battle's perfect. So I would much prefer fighting this army back down here in the south than up north near that regional capital. So we'll wait for a second to rally up. We'll make things a little bit nicer. We're just going to left click drag the infantry units, and we'll cluster the archers as well, just so it's a little bit easier for me micro. And we should be able to crush this Persian host here today. So let's make it a little bit wider. Let's try and match their width ideally. We've got so many archers. We're going to be able to rain so much skirmish fire down around them. Okay, let's move. We've even got cavalry there as well. Okay, so first major fight against the Persians here. Yeah, if they were united, they would be so much stronger. But a smart thing the Seleucids did is basically gave them their own regional autonomy. They are starting to gang up against me a little bit. At the end of the day, we are foreign invaders. Alright. Just try and wait for our units to line on up, and we'll see how the enemy reacts. Okay, I've skipped a little bit ahead because they are so slowly advancing. We've got an opportunity here with my skirmishers to get our first little bit of conflict here on the right. So we're going to move up our 3 missile cav, which aren't the best in our roster, but these guys are very light. They've got a huge number to them. If they had 200, it would be ideal, but 300, I just don't know how we're going to do. And now they're just going to skirmish back right at us. I am still shocked. We'll move into the forest here just for some protection. But that these settlements in the Far East, with 1-2 regions, these factions can essentially wield massive amounts of units. Like usually 2 full stacks, which are somewhere between 30 to 40 units, and then the garrison as well. So I'm just surprised that we're having such large scale battles here. Okay, let's move here. We might be able to get a Hail Mary on the general unit here. That would really help us out. Do we have 1 unit of camera on us here? Okay, so they're starting to push up a little bit closer. Once they engage my front line, we'll be able to start attacking. So we do have our own Persian archers, which are allied to the Mauryans. But most of our infantry is Indian. Okay, so they're going to move up. Let's give out some attack orders. Need to watch out for those deployables there. Oh, there does seem to be some caltrops, so that's something we should be mindful of. Okay, so let's give out some attack orders. We're going to be able to get some flanking maneuvers here. So let's charge. Now, the Persians have decent cavalry and skirmishers, so we don't want to be sitting too far back and just copping all that missile fire. So we're going to close the distance, use our infantry, and just start wrapping around them, I think. They're sitting quite narrow, so we're going to be able to use that to our advantage. Okay, unfortunately those missile cav got engaged, so, and now they're just getting peppered by that archer unit there. I don't know how we're not doing that well against that general unit. Okay, we're starting to boot and scoot, and now we're engaging. Still getting some pretty decent fire over the top. Keeping my elephants in reserve, we don't need them just yet. If I push them too far up, they're going to go berserk, I think, because it's just the archers there. Go against those light. There we go, that's good. Alright, that could be better. Right, you move here, wrap around this. Wrap, wrap, wrap.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Continue to go for that. Nice, we've got a lot of width. Make sure we give out proper attack orders. Get around this way. The general's still holding. So if we can crush this full stack, we'll basically just move back up north, embed ourselves quite close to that settlement, I don't particularly want to go anywhere near or engage that 20 units. Maybe wait for them to come against us. So we caught them by surprise here. I'm actually honestly quite surprised this army actually managed to bypass us here. I don't know how they did that. I thought we were sitting on that road and secured it, but they somehow slunk around the pass. Those cheeky Persians. They always manage to find some random goat track to get around. That's a 300 reference. Okay. Oh, they're wavering a little bit there. Yeah, it's just because they're getting... Is that friendly fire? Maybe. Or maybe they're just good there. Okay. Yeah, some of these units are sitting idly by. Oh, it's just... Sometimes... In Rome too, and I guess in the Warhammer games, like when you have like 30 to 40 units, it's sometimes a little bit hard to micro. I feel like 20 is like the perfect. People always say we want bigger total wars, but maybe if they had more units per, more men per unit might be easier, but 40 units is nearly too much for me. But fierce fighting is now breaking out as we slowly but surely paint the Middle East a beautiful blue, a Mauryan blue. Nice, they're starting to rout now. And we're probably starting to use these macemen, which are starting to last a lot longer in combat, armor-wise. Nice! So at the moment, we're mostly focusing on Persians and a small amount of Arab tribes, which might end up being more if we go to war with Saba. We'll see. Let's continue. Okay, decisive victory. We got a good number, 7,500 against their 7,600. This is just going to be so brutal. We haven't fought an offensive siege in this series, so I'm not entirely competent in how the Indian unit roster will perform. We do have some tier 2 units, but this is still tier 1, so we'll fight this one upon the battlefield here today. Arverni is the city. Let's start the deployment. Now, I believe when Alexander was out in this neck of the woods, this was named after him, Alexandria something. Didn't he name like 13 cities after himself? Not known for having a big ego, Alexander. But anyway, let's slowly but surely move up and have our first offensive siege of the series. Now, a lot of you have been agreeing with me that the unit roster gets pretty busted towards the late game, and I've gone through a fair few comments. Thank you for all the fantastic support, and I appreciate you, the lurkers, that like and show up and don't need to comment and get your little total war fix. But okay, so my archers are moving up here. Hopefully they can arc their shots. We'll wait for these additional reinforcements to come on up. Now, my only concern in an offensive siege like this, still operating with a tier 1, barely mid-tier roster, is we're just going to get carved up missile-wise. The Persians have fantastic missile units. Also, in combination to an offensive siege, the arrow towers are just going to rip through us. Just look at these guys, they're just not as heavily armoured as I would like. But we do have a decent number amount. So we've got a massive 15,000 epic siege as our reinforcements look to move up. We do have some skirmish cav, but I don't know how well they're going to do. Let's make this a little bit more tidier and nice for the micro. But so far, 20-30 or so turns into this series. Starting things off, we were quite fortunate, able to push against one of our neighbouring Persian states. I think we got a little bit unlucky that not all of the Seleucids' vassals rebelled in one go. It took a little bit. Sometimes they can. So we were a little bit unfortunate in that point. I feel like they rebelled at the last possible moment before the event popped up. None of them have really gained a huge amount of influence, territory, and prominence. It's really media that's a bit big. So if we can somehow lock down relations with them, that would be ideal. Hopefully they can expand eastward potentially, so we don't have to go too far north into... I'm wary about pushing into that Turkmenistan steppe territory, just on that eastern side of the Caspian Sea. Got some units coming out here. For some reason. I imagine to try and disrupt and stop the battering ram from attaching to the gateway. Sometimes it's a pretty good strategy, especially for the human player. Trying to delay siege equipment actually making its way to the walls. Okay, so fierce fighting is breaking just outside, and it seems like the unit that I assigned to the battering ram there, yeah, has now been unlocked. So they're moving out some cavalry. Shouldn't be too much of a concern. It's just delaying us time-wise. Now this is a region capital, so there's a fair few capture points inside. 2 or 3. Nice! Imagine getting taken out with a blunt end of an axe. Okay, and we'll move my archers on the left-hand side here to try and arc their shots. But our men are slowly but surely making their way on up. We do have okay melee attack, but this is going to be a bit of a grind here. Okay, my archers are getting an okay angle. But they're clustering quite a lot. So there's 3 capture points in there. Oh, there's so many there. Alright, let's try and get them to vary their shots here. Firing up over the top. Nice, that's what we want. Now, thankfully the Persian archers that we've brought in ourselves can make the shot. They got the damage. Indians have the range. At the moment, buildings-wise, we're focusing on military. I would recommend, if you are playing as the Mauryans, food can be a little bit scarce here on the coast. So, definitely worth building fishing villages, because some of these cities are quite large. You don't particularly need that big of a navy, depending if you go into Arabia. If you don't want to, you probably could have a smaller navy just to deal with the odd pirates here and there. But so far, building a bunch of trading ports isn't really going to help us, because we just don't have access to... I don't even know what the number is. If we don't have access to the Mediterranean, the North Sea, and like... what is the Bay of Biscay? Whatever that eastern seaboard is in France. You basically don't have access to, I would say, somewhere between 60 to 70, maybe even 80% of trade, possible trade. So we want to try and secure as much territory in and around Persia as we can. I don't particularly want to go too far north into the steppes or into the Caucasus. We'll see what happens in Arabia. How much territory we can take, or we might just have that outcropping. A bit of a buffer zone. If we can control trade around the Arabian Sea, that might be good. Ideally, we need to make our way to the Levant, but once we push through, what? Iraq, Syria, it's pushing into Levant is going to be easier said than done, and holding territory there, because you're just going to be pulled into the various Hellenic kingdoms. I feel like, although we're currently fighting Persians, not Parthians just yet, I think the eventual enemy will be the Hellenic states. Initially the successors, Ptolemy, Seleucus, and Bactria. But then if you're carving up Hellenic Greeks, you actually bump up against Rhodes and Crete and Sparta and Athens and stuff. It just depends if the Romans go eastward rather than west. Who knows? I guess depending on how good Massalia is. Okay, so we're slowly but surely surging into this city. We're managing to cap the gateway. We're up on the walls, which is nice. Let's give out some attack orders. Now that they've made their way up onto the walls, we want to make sure that they go down through the little doorways on the wall, so make sure they give out attack orders. Get them down there. It can be a little bit congested in doing so. The men are wavering, which is unfortunate, yeah. So it's about a 50-50 at the moment. This is a brutal and bloody siege. Yikes. Okay, I got some Arabian spearmen there now. Okay, make sure that all the infantry has an attack order. Most of these archers are out of ammunition. We might have to throw them in eventually. But we are using all of our available ammunition, which is nice. And then I guess ideally we'll move the archers up onto the walls. But yeah, guys, overall, really do appreciate all the support on the channel. You guys still tend to really enjoy Total War Rome 2 DEI campaigns, just compared to like other campaigns that I produce. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I love DEI. I really can't get enough of it. And I've kind of slept on this faction quite a bit, I'm not gonna lie. Although the unit roster is like really cool, the battles are gonna quite vary. It's just, I think early on you're just fighting not the, I don't know, most enjoyable factions. But it's kind of cool to see how we go up against the Persians and the Arabs, I guess. Once we start fighting Hellenic Greeks, that's where things are going to be really cool, I think. Or the successor kingdoms, rather. But, I don't know, I just like versing Rome, Carthage, the Gauls.
One of our units has used
I like to fight in that sort of southern Mediterranean belt, rather, than in the Far East here. I just think it's unit diversity, really. But maybe pushing into Arabia might mix things up. But also, let me know in the comments what other campaigns you would like me to do. I do think maybe after this series, which is, we're going to be running this for a fair few weeks, because just DEI campaigns take so long. I try to upload as much as I can as well. But it's just, DEI takes like 2-3 times amount to record compared to like a vanilla campaign. But yeah, the general consensus is, I did read this comment. From what I remember, basically the gist of it was the Mauryan Empire is pretty overpowered in the late game, which I sort of knew, just looking at the roster. But the challenge is basically Bactria and the Parthian factions early on, and then if you overextend into Arabia. A lot of the suggestions were bring 2-3 Mauryan tower elephants. They're pretty good. I did get some comments about, are you going to be playing Pharaoh in the new update? No, I actually haven't played Total War Pharaoh. Technically, the full game. I did play a battle build, but I don't particularly like the Troy battles. Especially to sink weeks and hundreds of hours into it. I just don't really enjoy them that much. So I don't expect a Pharaoh Let's Play anytime soon. But I might do another Medieval 2 campaign. I haven't decided just yet. Medieval 2 maybe is just a bit too dated now. I don't know. But there's so many Total War campaigns to do. You could really spend a lifetime playing Total War. And I have spent a good chunk. Okay, let's move up here. So at the moment, tactically nothing too crazy is going on. Just grinding away at the moment. They tend to just have a lot of skirmishes trying to pepper me here. They don't have the highest defense or attack, and we just don't have the armor. So that's why some of our units are looking a little bit bare bones at the moment. Okay. Oh, it's just an absolute struggle here. But even this, like 2 pretty big massive battles for 2 average provinces. I'm just kind of shocked at the pop. How big they are. But it's going to take us a fair few weeks to eventually hit the Mediterranean Sea. I can't wait though. Okay. We still haven't managed to bring down the gateway here, which is a little bit infuriating. I think we're going to be okay. I can't see us losing this one particularly. It's just going to be grindy as we make our way on through. We only brought up one battering ram and one ladder. I think concentrating was still the play. Stretching us probably wasn't ideal. It's not the largest regional capital. Like, we don't have to make multiple ways up. We still don't have really strong effective units of burning down gateways just yet. I'm surprised they didn't come out and attack me though. So, that's infuriating. Usually, if you outnumber the enemy and you're sieging for a turn or so, usually in DI and Rome 2 they'll come out against you, but I suppose not this particular time. Alright, just trying to open up some more space in and around the city streets here. Because the more angles we can get, the better. To get that side and rear morale debuff on the units, just so they're a bit more threatened. I don't know if our skirmish cav overlay is going to do too much. They've really done well here, the AI, in contesting that gateway. Because we're still struggling to advance. We seem to be doing better on this right-hand side here. We're just slowly but surely trickling in. Hopefully, once we get some more units in, it can cause a flood. And a dramatic one at that. Jeez. I don't know about these axemen. We just lost a lot of Mauryan allied infantry early on. Although we're claiming territory, if there was a really punishing population mechanic, we would, like huts of iron or something, our manpower is probably quite low. These battles have been massive in volume and men and brutal to say the least. But yeah, let me know in your Mauryan Empire campaign where you sort of expand and conquer, and if you do start your own campaign, leave a comment, let me know how you do. I'm always curious how campaigns differ. The thing is, you could literally watch, this goes for any Total War, 2-3 Total War campaigns as the Mauryan Empire with different YouTubers, different play styles and different game plans, and they're all going to be unique. So I'm always curious in the community how your campaign goes. Alright. Close victory. We won. Oh, wow. 6 units. Close victory in the end. Jeez. 3,000. Okay. Alright. Let's occupy. You still got a fair amount of looting. Our Median allies are pushing against us. Oh! Oh, yikes. We're going to have to play this one. Why are they silver chevron? Okay, so we'll fight this one. So, this rebel army has mobilized well. Okay, this is the setup. So, let's get them in quickly. Oh, can they not deploy there? We'll go here then. Alright, so in this series we managed to conquer southern Arabia. And now we're dealing with this rebellion here. We just need to get the navy in. This is going to be tight. We do have an army rotating around, but it's just going to take some time. So southern Arabia is nearly fully under our control, except for this minor rebellion which has grown and festered. Still focusing on conquering all of Persia for us and our allies, which is turning out to be. We did move the navy from Persia here. Can I go... So I've got a skirmish ship. Can I try and snipe the general there? Thankfully, looking at the layout of this city, there's not too many ways in. Oh wait, there's a unit variety there? What? I wasn't expecting that. I didn't think the Indians had females in their unit roster.
The men are wavering.
Okie dokes. Cool beans. Okay, so what's really going to help us in this is the Marines, essentially. So let's move them in. If we can get the garrison to hold, and we'll wrap around with the units from the ships. That would be ideal. Because they're going to have higher overall stats. Primarily attack. So, still, slowly but surely, fixing our food situation. We probably maybe skewed militarily too much early on. But now, because we've just had a rapid expansion of... Okay, so we might have done enough to their morale there with that flammable shot. We're not winning on that side though. This is going to be super, super close. Okay, so now we're engaging them. You go target here. I think what we need to do is focus on this right-hand side. And then if we can get lucky, we might be able to free up a bunch of units. Then we'll swing those guys back into the center of the town and plug the gateway there, the road there. Can we fire into this? Try and hit that general unit if you can. Focus on that. I could go with flammable. It might not be a bad idea. It seems to be working. Come on, come on. Although they were wavering, now they're good. Oh my god, I think we're going to be able to get the general here. He's wavering, perfect. He's actually, come on. Now, just this, there's still technically 2 units here, one's still holding. Why are they coming towards my arch? Oh, nice, we got him. Okay, so we've just capitulated the general there, and that should make them fold. They've got nowhere to go back to. So, if we keep this up, we might be able to get a narrow victory. So we didn't need to wrap up there. We just got lucky. We just got so lucky that the beach landing was a little bit iffy with those 2 archers. And the general went on that left-hand side. And we just so happened to get a good angle and a good shot. Right, so we've won that. You go back here, and then you go swing here. That's what I'm talking about. Reinforce the ones holding towards the center of the settlement in the narrow street. And then we'll wrap around those 2 around the back with the general there. From the naval general, to be more precise, not the garrison general. Nice, and they're just going to melt away. Perfect. Let's continue. Run down as many of them as they can. Close victory, we'll claim. Nice. That was actually a really good battle. You can't always say that for Rebel Army battles, but I'm quite impressed with the Indian Marines. Amphibiously dropping in and helping out. Same with the archers as well. A decently sized battle as well. 8,000. And we crushed mostly spearmen, some axemen there. Okay, so unfortunately we didn't get all of them. So Bactria has attacked me here. The garrison army is still quite big. Okay, so we'll tactically move back. Alright, back down in the south. Let's move you to take Gore. Get the valuable wine resource. I don't know why they're sitting up in the north there. But our armies have just whittled away here. We're currently wielding 5 full stacks at the moment. Tyrosh, that's Game of Thrones. Taurus. And we'll move in with Ashoka with our better army. I do need to restructure these because we could be having better units. Okay. We are really favored to win that one. But, because we haven't had a proper battle against the Seleucids, I want to fight the Hellenic Greeks. Or Hellenic Greek culture faction. They are different slightly. Technically, this is a Black Sea colony we're facing, and the Seleucids are a successor state, but it's still roughly a Hellenic roster. Alright, well, let's fight this one here today. Who would have thought we'd be facing Chimeria? I didn't. But I'm glad. So they must have pushed down there and, yeah, taken that Seleucid territory pretty early on. Alright, let's close the distance. Now, I'm going to rush here. Just looking at the topography of this battle, there's a massive high ground in the center, so we really want to try and take that. We don't want to be pushing uphill, fighting hoplites. That would be a absolute nightmare that I would rather avoid. So, quick double time. Army build at the moment. We still have some Indian macemen. We've got some Persian axemen, Indian archers. We've even got a nice mixture of Arabian spearmen. But as we push into Hellenic territory now, pushing into Anatolia, because there's still massive Greek colonies and influence, we're going to have access to hoplites and pikes, which will be really nice. And we're still continuing on this series to Hinduify the continent. Now, I think our objective, as we're pushing so far west now, we've got to destroy Macedon. I think we've got to take Pella. I think that's the next objective I want to go for. We were always trying to push westward. I just didn't know how long it would take us. But now, because we haven't actually had to conquer all that Persian territory during the alliance, we've just been able just to fly through that territory. So it is kind of bad in the grand scheme of things not being able to have trade rights navally, because we haven't connected our capital to Antioch, for example, because we'd be able to make so much money. So we are hindering ourselves a little bit, because we're not. Whoops, we're not. I just got stuck there. We're not. We're stuck in the damn menu. What was I saying? Oh yes, right. Not the most overly too difficult this battle, by the way. I'm just articulating my other thoughts of the campaign generally. Just giving out attack orders here. We're pretty good. They did close the distance on us a bit, actually. They got up that hill quite quick, but we've got so many reinforcements. So we're just going to skirmish from the side here. We'll start wrapping around. My archer's doing well. We are hams. So basically, you are better to trade all your resources by sea, because trading is one of the best ways to make money in this game. It doesn't cost that much. Sending and selling items by sea. And you're better off getting all the buildings and the bonuses and focusing on that. But because we're locked off, I've actually decided to focus on more agrarian and agriculture economy and an industrial one, because we're probably not going to be able to get trade rights with the Iceni, Carthage, and the Iberians unless we betray the Persians, which I don't know. I actually don't know in a full-on fight will we win. We're so far west now, we might just be better off to accept that we're not going to have coastal trade rights in this particular campaign, stay loyal to the Parthian and Persian alliance, and push west. Or what we could do is like basically push up to the Romans, or whoever the big faction is. I imagine it's the Romans. I haven't seen what's happening in Greece or the Balkans or Illyria and Carthage. But what we could do is just see what sort of happens on there, and we could double back. Or we could maybe recruit armies and do an order 66 and take the territory. I could also just maybe cut the Persian Empire in half and then sue for peace, because all I want is trade rights. I don't particularly care about the territory overly too much. It just depends how this war goes with Chimeria now. So once we destroy this full stack, we should be able to push into the last of the Seleucids there. Here's hoping. But yeah, let me know in the comments feedback and suggestions for this campaign. Should I betray, really the question is, this Persian or Parthian alliance, or should I keep it? So maybe put your thoughts and opinions in the comments. You're for and against. Should we keep it or not? And then I guess thumbs up and argue with people in the comments, whatever your point of view is. Okay, so I can't see us particularly losing this one, although we do now have some units that are wavering. But we're just going to numerically outnumber them here. They probably weren't expecting 12,000 Indians just to rock up in their southern border of Anatolia. I wouldn't have expected it. If you were playing as Chimeria and were like, oh yeah, I'm at war with the Indians in my campaign. Who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? So now we got a justification to push into Anatolia. So interesting. Pergamon and Pontus don't really seem to be that significant of factions at this stage in the campaign. They could very well not exist. I don't know. Okay, and soon enough, everyone's going to be in a full retreat. Let's continue on. Just skipping a little bit ahead, we ran them down. A decisive victory. We lost 1,200. They deployed 3,600. Not the best army build from Cameria. But looking at the casualties sustained and inflicted, everyone did super well. Okay, well, now we're going to have to deal with Pergamon war decking us. So, looks like there's going to be plenty of wars in Anatolia against various Greek city-states slash successor slash cultural groups, and I guess still dealing with this war with Pergamon. They have a full stack there. We'll see how they react. I'm still surprised Sinop was never under Cimmerian control. So we've got 3 full stacks there. We're in a bit of a food situation again, just because we're taking such large settlements. And we don't have the best agriculture baseline back in the Middle East. We've got 2 full stacks here. There's a piece of Macedon army there. We'll just have to see how they react. Okay, welcome to the top of the turn. Still haven't been attacked by Pergamon. Got some rampant piracy going on, which is annoying. But, oh, it looks like the last of the Seleucids have melted away. Perfect. But we do have some sea peoples there we need to deal with. Okay, so they have moved so... Why have they moved so close there? How did they even do that? Okay, anyway, looks like we're going to push for Sinop. They're going to try and get back to their capital. We're going to fight this one here. He's not like he's going to be able to run either. So, yeah, let's go with a 4-pronged assault. Okay, so they've been pushed back up there. I think... Oh, because the garrison's going to come in. That's a pretty good army. Maybe they knew they would sort of draw us away. So, hang on, bear with me. Okay, right. This is a clear-cut auto-resolve. We're going to fight this one on the battlefield, though. Faction leader of Pergamon. 7-star commander. Pretty decent army as well. 7 pikes. The rest made up of hoplites and peltasts. Okay, let's fight this one upon the battlefield now. Looking at the topography, it is not ideal. Incredibly wooded, the area. They've even got a slight high ground advantage. So this is probably pretty good for them. They want to try and bait us into a field battle there. Okay, so unfortunately our archers aren't going to be the best and optimally used in this. There's just too much wooded area. We're going to have to use our infantry, but we've got the numbers on them, so this battlefield could be better for us. So what I'm going to do is just hold, wait for our reinforcements to come on in. This is like a 12-13k battle, so it's going to be quite big. Their pikes are going to be incredibly hard to deal with. So this wooded area is really going to help them, because it's not like they're relying on combat effectiveness anyway. Skirmishers are going to have a hard time. We do have a little bit of skirmish cav, but they just need to properly flank. We might be able to target their faction leader, we'll just have to see. So they do seem to look like they're heading down the hill to try and stop us from rallying up. Uniting and just making this a little bit better is the plan. So we've got a nice mix here of 4 units of our top tier Indian heavies, like our tier 3s. Some melees there. Bunch of archers. Would have liked slightly more cav, but we'll see. Okay, so I'm just going to slowly continue to try and slink around behind them, and we'll try and get some skirmisher shots down. Just make this a little bit more manageable for me. I do tend to struggle to use more than 40 units at one time. Okay, let's make that a little bit better. Nice. I think we've properly slinked them around, and now because we're not being seen, we're not visible, it's going to reset their line of sight. So let's push down here and try and target their general. But here are the Pergamon pikes. Something definitely to be feared in the ancient world. Pergamon, pretty cool faction. have done a Let's Play as them before, but it was quite a while ago. Pushing over from the old ancient Troy lands, fighting and colonizing and basically bringing Pergamon's influence back to mainland Greece was always fun. But let me know in the comments, guys, other campaigns you'd like me to do. I'm really thoroughly enjoying this particular Mauryan Empire Indian playthrough. It is such a fun faction. I can't recommend it enough. And we've had such a different and diverse campaign. I did have a quick look at some other people's campaigns. They went very differently on YouTube. And I'm sure even the people watching as well. You guys have had different campaigns as well. Okay, so my skirmishers here have wrapped around perfectly. We're actually using the high ground, well, to our advantage now. We're targeting their general unit, which is only a medium infantry unit. Interesting, okay. So we're hitting them from the sides here. Now, an interesting trick with DEI, as you can see, every unit has their shield on the left. So, oh, hang on, we might need to charge down here and bear with me, stop those skirmishers from hitting us. So we're actually better off hitting them from the right-hand side because they haven't got shields on their right, which is funny. Okay, so we've managed to form up here. Let's move. We want to try and use this right side and sort of center clearing as best as we can. That will give us our archers the best and clean shot in this fight. Okay, I don't know what's happening to their general. We're just targeting him. Okay, so let's remove here. Okay, so still managing to maintain the balance of power in our favor. I just feel like they're indecisive here. There's not really much they can do. We are fighting them at the end of the day. This is an offensive fight. We're hitting them from multiple vectors of attack here. And this medium hoplite general unit can't really do too much. Okay, so now they're starting to move up with their peltasts. Now, they won't have the range, but they've probably got really high damage. Okay, more shots are coming off. It is interesting that using the left-hand side with the tree cover more. Okay, so they do have some medium missile, so let's try and engage that. The enemy general is now dead. Perfect, that's exactly what we wanted. So I can't see them coming back from this particular fight. Then this full stack has been crushed, and then we should be able to take Pergamon and Sinop and secure the western Greek side of Turkey. The Aegean, I guess. What even is that province now? Like, does Turkey even have states? Like, I know Switzerland has cantons. I guess Germany has states. We have states. What does the UK have? Counties? I never really thought about Turkish states. I'd imagine they would be. Japan has prefectures. Okay, so let's look to give out some attack orders here now. I don't want to be too long stuck into pike combat because it's a little bit fruitless. So we're better off just trying to lock some units down and then swing around with our additional units, surround them, hit them from the sides and the rear to cause a rout. We won't have to apply too much pressure on that front pike line. You obviously don't want to be fighting a full field battle for like 10-15 minutes fighting pikes head on. But locking it down for now is not too bad. Okay, let's start flanking. Because even if we do have weaker units, lighter, cheaper units, flanking the numbers is just what's gonna win us the day here. But this should be the end of Pergamon. We were pushing against the Seleucids. Cameria attacked us, then Pergamon. I just really sort of wasn't expecting to be thrust into a war against these Greek states, more or less. Bactria and the Seleucids seem to be more, I don't know, docile in their approach. So, after this, we're still continuing on our main objective, which is now to Hindufy the Middle East, which I think we've done. We've probably hit our short victory conditions. I would have liked to set up a trade lane, but I just don't know if it's possible. I don't particularly want to betray Persia, but we'll push into ancient Greece I think, push into and unify the Greek city-states under an Indian rule. I think that would just be funny, more or less.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
And the Persians will be thinking, what? As if they did it. We couldn't do it. But Athens, Sparta, is going to be easier. Well, it's probably easier to say we can take them to actually do it. And then we've also got Macedon as well, who are quite large at the moment. And then we've got the Romans. I don't know how strong they are at the moment as well. Ptolemy still seems to be holding out. We haven't had that detour down there, although our Arabian allies and our Persians allies don't seem to be pushing them. Oh, we won now. Let's just quickly speed things up. Okay, I skipped a little bit ahead, ran them down, and we're going to claim a decisive victory here today. 7,500, only 550 lost. Crikey. It's kind of a joke, that battle. What a decisive victory. Skirmishers, cavalry doing the most. Alright. Can't really see Pergamon coming back from this, unless they spawn a full stack or something. But that was a pretty good army build they had. We just had the numbers of them on them, and we were just able to snipe the general. Oh, nice. So let's try and run down as many of them as we can. Finish them off completely. This could even be another faction leader here, potentially. And more fleets, and Pergamon has officially been defeated. We still technically are at war with Cameria, but we're at war with no Greek city-states at the moment. Okay, so this has Macedon and Rhodes in. I think I want to go with an Eastern Library. We're at the stage where we want to try and start smashing out those research bonuses because we can afford to. We have the money. Okay, so we're going to renegotiate with Cameria. Nice, so they're actually interested now. They weren't before, so let's try and get peace with them. They had territory in central Anatolia. They actually held Ankara for quite some time, and in Bithynia and Cappadocia, so we'll try and make peace with them. This is our building construction at the moment. It has changed a little bit. Food is a little bit harsh in some of the regions where we don't have full control over, but we're doing our best. Parthia has advanced a little bit up into Turkmenistan and sort of in and around the Caspian Sea. That's keeping the horse lords and not Cumans and Tartars, I don't know what they are, just like Cossack nomads. The cavalry riders of the steppe being delayed, and Persia has conquered essentially Iraq and Mesopotamia there, and we're managing to hold here. Okay, let's get another fleet in Sinop. So I might disband the navy in Arabia. We just don't need it down there. I can't see myself going to war with the Egyptians anytime soon. All my armies are here in the west. Armenia is quite large. They are now a pretty large kingdom in the Caucasus. Okay, so let's push on here and get rid of these pirates that have rocked up, that are disrupting trade lanes in the Red Sea. Typical. Let's run down these rebels. Alright. 2,000 years in the past, still dealing with pirates in the Red Sea. Alright, let's move here and probably sit the navy there. Replenish and repair. It's just really expensive to have a navy here, not really doing too much. I'm going to have to make a decision about it. Okay, so we're currently bankrupt at the moment at the top of the turn, which is really bad. But we should have enough to correct that. Okay, so I've mobilized 4 full stacks. And it is now time to leave Asia for the first time and push into Europe. So the Romans have Apollonia. Illyria has fallen as well a little bit. So interesting to see who owns what. Dacia over the Danube. So our financial situation is quite bad at the moment. So hopefully pushing into Europe, pushing into Greece, that will correct that. So they do have a full stack down here. Got a secondary army too. So we have 4 full stacks ready to push on over. with the Shoka. They've got a navy as well. So maybe the conquest against Macedon is going to be easier said than done. Their kingdom is split quite a bit. They do have Athens as a client state, but they're not at war with anyone. So we're going to have to straight up war deck them. So that does give Parthia and Persia and the Arab states we're allied with an opportunity to not join us. So we could use that to our advantage potentially. If we're to conquer them. But no, they're going to remain loyal. Okay, so we are at war with Athens now, so that will complicate things slightly. They will have a couple of armies and maybe even a navy. So let's get a Shoka to push on over. And here we go. We're going at war with the Macedonians. We're facing the Antigonid dynasty. Let's flood everyone over where we can. And we should be able to push in and take the port city of Athena on the western Black Sea coast here. So we're going to flood in with an absurd amount. 10,000 against the 3,000 garrison. So we're going to plant our flag. So now we're in Thrace. And yet, surprisingly, Illyria has pushed up there. So this time around in this playthrough, Macedon is doing quite well. Sometimes they get taken out. Sometimes you see like barbarians dominating Greece. In my last couple of playthroughs that happened. Okay, let's move my navy up to Rhodes. And let's, hang on, dish out these unassigned skills. And then we'll see how the Macedonians react to us. Let's continue on. Interesting, they just launched a peace offer. If they could partition their country, maybe, and we could puppet some of it, I don't know. Become a client state, bend the knee. No, they don't seem to be overly interested. They would give me probably a massive payment. Is that worth it? 10,000 gold and then just betray them again, bankrupt them. That could be a smart play, but I kind of like my relations diplomatically. More sons coming of age. Family tree growing. Okay, population surplus. Still dealing with an economic crisis. Back up in the north. So it looks like that army's pushed down and has started raiding in the north. That gives us a great opportunity to play that. So let's move in with Chandragupta. Block, and we'll move in with Ashoka. Move this army in. Okay. So that's been bounced. That's okay. Because if we move up to an advanced position here... Hang on. He might be able to reach... Hang on. Yeah, he can probably still reach up there. So let's move you here, who has less movement. Move you higher up. Yep. And then we should be able to come in. What? How's the garrison coming in though? We're besieging it, aren't we? Oh, I might have stuffed up here. Oh, I think I have actually. We could take the auto resolve there, but that's a bit cheeky when there's a full stack. Do I just play this one manually? Play with our 2-star commander, Chandragupta, whatever his name is. I think we played this one manually. We could auto-resolve. I'm not going to though. We need to fight our first battle against Macedon. Okay, I think I stuffed up the movement there. Okay, so let's play the Battle of Odessos. Now, we're not fighting with our top tier, first tier, 10-star commander with our faction leader Ashoka. We're playing with one of his ethnic sons, actually. So, most of this army build is made up of tier 1 Indian infantry. We do have some Persian archers as well, but this is still a pretty low tier army. And as you can see, it is a little bit knackered manpower wise. But we'll see how we go. Okay, so it looks like a lot of it's coming in by the navy. The garrison's inside, then we've got the reinforcing army. So what we want to try and do is push on in and get that capture point under our control. And then we'll move the reinforcing units to go deal with the, well, reinforcements. Now, we're not going to be able to initiate a countdown, but it will give us a bonus taking that town square. So that's why I'm going to try and push for it. So it's going to be interesting to see how many casualties we lose in this one, because we're not fighting with the top tier army. And also, look, by the look of it, as you can see who's trickling in, they're splitting half of the reinforcements. They're not just allowing Ashoka's army to fully come in, which is more battle hardened and truthfully well more experienced. Okay, so we're starting to skirmish here, and we are facing a Hellenic faction who's just sitting back here. We're going to try and skirmish them and soften them up where we can. Okay, so once we deal with Macedon's territory in Thrace, we'll make plans and preparations to take that last piece of territory in Anatolia and then push into central Greece. I'm just a little bit surprised that
Our general is under attack.
they have territory in Asia Minor. Okay, so we're moving in our elephants here. Give out some attack orders. Nice. We're just going to be facing those very light melee infantry. Oh my god. The elephants are rip-roaring through them. That's good. The quicker we can get this garrison destroyed, the better. Okay, so marches are doing well here. Oh, okay, so this is what's going to complicate things. I'm going to try and get that high ground here. There's a slight high ground elevation there. Okay. Try and move around there. Make sure my elephants are running through the city, running havoc. Okay, so we essentially got now 2 separate battles going on. Now this is our first time facing a proper main Hellenic faction. The Seleucids were basically rotting away. They were the sick man of Europe, essentially, by the time we rocked up. We haven't fought Ptolemy, one of the successor states. We have fought Chimeria, a Black Sea faction, but we're not fighting in their territory. They're overextended. Oh my god, we're just carving them up. But Macedon, this roster is doing quite well. Pergamon had a pretty good roster, but I don't really consider them as a main faction. Alright, let's give out some more attack orders here. And we should be able to envelop them. But the war between the Indians and Macedonians is well and truly back.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Okay, we're doing quite well here. It does seem to only have skirmishes here, so let's swing down. Push in and rotate around the back. And get those units that don't have attack orders to wrap. We do have more general units pushing around here, especially those that can get into skirmishes. As this battle rages, we will have more units coming in. There we go, go here. Alright, we crushed those units there. They're trying to commit more up. Okay, we're in the town square now. We could have completely avoided it and focused on the reinforcing army potentially, because that's where the better quality units are, and completely neglected the city. But I think making an attempt to try and take it, get that capture point, will affect the morale overall. We haven't been fortunate to take any generals out just yet, but we are stretching. The only risk in doing this is we are stretching ourselves a little bit thin. Okay, my archers are nearly out of ammunition here, so let's redirect you. Okay, my reinforcing army seems to be holding against their main stack. Just make sure everyone's got attack orders properly. They are clustering a little bit up. We don't really want 5 units here, or 6 or 7 to go after 1. That's a little bit fruitless in my opinion. So let's try and restructure you here. Okay, and let's try and run that down there. Nice, and let's move here. You move here. Alright, back over here. Ooh. Even though we've done that flanking maneuver, we are wavering, but so are they. We might have to send in those units of skirmishers that don't have ammo. Now let's just send them in. Get the Persians to draw their daggers. Okay, my generals... Oh, getting worked a little bit here. My elephants are looking a little bit weak, unfortunately. I feel like there was a way, movement-wise, we could have gamed that. It sometimes happens. You do misplays in Let's Plays. Yikes. Yeah, I felt like we've done pretty good movement-wise, isolating garrisons. And going after full stacks is just easier. Divide and conquering them, but they basically got the upper hand on this one, the Macedonians. I still think we're going to win, but it's just going to be a bit of a slog. Still sitting at about a 50-50 casualty-wise. Okay, so we've managed to liquidate the units in the town square, which is nice. Just skipping a little bit ahead. Let's close things there. Close victory. Oh my god. So unfortunately... Chandragupta has fallen. Okay, so that's the... yeah, Emperor's son. He was actually quite a renowned historical figure too. And we lost 3,500. Okay, so we've managed to crush one full stack of them in the north, in Odessos, when we were fighting them in Thrace, which was easier said than done. They took a lot of our valiant Indian boys out. So it was a Pyrrhic victory in the end. Okay, so it looks like they're going to stand and fight here. So we've still got 2 full stacks in Asia Minor, trying to throw them out. We've got another 4 in mainland Europe. It is a fort battle here, but I think we should be able to get a pretty good result here. The order resolve is not in our favour because it is, well, a fort. And this isn't the best army we're deploying, but let's see what we can do. Okay, so I think the plan is to destroy the reinforcing army before it comes in. We potentially could rush the fort and take it for ourselves. I haven't decided just yet exactly what I'm going to do, but hopefully we can claim victory here today. Okay, so most of this army build is still made up of tier 1 or 2 units. Still got a decent array of archers though. Okay, so let's advance. We'll unite our 2 forces up. Now, we should have a decent amount of skirmishers to help us out in this one. But this is not the top tier, tier 2, 3 tier army that we're using and have been expected that we're going to be fighting with in mainland Europe. But Macedon in this particular playthrough has actually done quite alright. They have expanded into Thrace. The Idrisian kingdom is now no more. But, for whatever reason, the RDI, the Illyrian pirate faction, has pushed up into Philippopolis. Okay, so let's advance here. It looks like they might come out against me, which is interesting, as we do have skirmisher supremacy on them. Maybe we are better off to rush the army inside then and then deal with the garrison later on. It wouldn't be too much of a difference anyway. We do have like, what, 7 archer units? So maybe that's why they're coming out here. Well, looks like they want to close the distance against us. They will have line of sight on that reinforcing army. This army here mostly is made up of Indian conscripts. Tier 1 or Tier 2. Then we have essentially Arabian spearmen and some other Persian infantry. Okay, they do have cavalry supremacy here, so we just have to be a little bit careful. Just have to match them on that right-hand side. We don't want them to particularly overlap us. They've just abandoned that fort there. So let's try and push. Okay, so the reinforcements are coming from here. So they're going to try and crush this first army before we have time to really retaliate. So let's give out some attack orders here. Let's not sit flat-footed and let them to skirmish us. So let's lock them down. And then hopefully we can swing our units around the back. They're moving out their general unit. Let's advance slightly with the baggage train to help us out skirmisher-wise, and let's move the elephants. I think we've been quite lucky with deployment-wise. So let's send half of the army into the fort, the rest to come around and help that left-hand side, because I think that's where we're going to be best suited. But so far, Macedon in this particular playthrough has been the strongest and most resilient Hellenic faction we've faced. Can't say that much for Bactria or the Seleucids, the successor kingdoms. Well, the ones we faced, yeah. We haven't faced Ptolemaic Egypt though, but they've been quite docile in this campaign. Maybe the AI isn't very aggressive for them for whatever reason. Okay, not doing too bad. Still sitting in balance of power 50-50. We are now moving in our general unit and our elephants, so just have to be a little bit careful of them. If we get these arrow towers on our side, that would be magnificent. Getting arrow fire to support us in this. Just gotta watch out for that reinforcing cavalry unit coming on in. So far, still in a pretty good position. But once we beat them here in Ephesus, we should be able to have Western Anatolia fully under our control. Whatever units we do lose, we might be able to get Hellenic conscripts as a replacement. Okay. Just got to be a little bit careful with my generals here, because we have lost a fair few of them in this campaign. Bindasara, Chandragupta. Ashoka still remains, but historically we've lost a fair few historically significant generals. Okay, so we're not doing that well on this right-hand side, so I think we just need to focus on the left. Let's make sure we give out those attack orders. Now we've locked them down. Nice. We've neutralized one of the 4 arrow towers, looking to get the second, and then we're about to get the fort fully under control, which will give us a morale boost. But ideally we want to control those arrow towers. If we can get them to start peppering the army. I'm surprised they closed the distance against us. Maybe the AI was calculating that maybe if they can crush this army, kill the general, they might be better off than sitting back and peppering us. Because what we would have done is just surrounded the fort on this southern axis here and probably just like peppered them, so maybe trying to catch us in a transitional phase might be better. Because now their reinforcements are hitting us better than probably what they would have been. Okay. So just got some units here trying to delay this. They are wrapping around cavalry and stuff, trying to hit my archers, but they're not doing the best. Okay, so just one more arrow tower here for us to claim. And then we've still got to push into Pella, their capital. We're still technically at war with the Athenians as well. They're their client state, but they haven't thrown any forces up against us. We will have to watch them navally. But at the moment we're winning 6 full stacks, which is pretty good, seeing as we're a landlocked trade economy. We're focusing on industrial metals, refining and agriculture as our main income base. Because unfortunately, we're in the situation where our allies are not allowing us to connect our port to the Western Mediterranean, essentially. So we are going to be hamstrung financially in that department, and our construction has reflected that as well. I'm still unsure if that military alliance was worth it in the end. It did allow us to get west quicker, but the trade is just, well, cucking us really. Okay, they're about to waver fully here now. Just like we've got all of these really super rare resources. Spice, marble, slaves. We've got like a real controlling stake in the spice, but we can't sell it or flog it off to anyone, which is a shame. Okay, they're about to capitulate here. Yep, victory. Let's run them down. And let's end that there. Close victory, supposedly. Okay. Yikes. So we did lose 3,000 in that, but it was a fort battle. which I think is okay. Jeez. Although we're winning this war against the Macedonians, they are inflicting massive casualties against us. Oh, and we have lost another Mauryan as well from the family tree. Well, that's disappointing. We are running through them quite a bit. To be fair, at this stage in the campaign, what, 257 BC, nearly 100 turns in. We're going to get new units eventually soon. Now just thinking it was 100. It's just large enough that it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's continue the offensive here. We do have our navy coming into support. That was running down from Rhodes. Just quickly isolate these smaller units here, and they're going to be brought in anyway. We're going to have access to marble here in a second. Okay, let's occupy, and that should be the last of them. All the province of Asia is under our control. We've also managed to pick up another monument. During the end turn phase here, we've somehow been attacked by a Macedon army that was in Illyrian territory. So let's play this battle here now, and we're not really favoured to win. So we're going to corner camp this one, take the high ground. I was not expecting this fight whatsoever. It's not the best army either. So, well, technically this isn't Illyrian. Well, it's RDI. So, Illyrian pirate territory. Polpadava has been under their occupation for quite some time. So, welcome back to the Let's Play series. Still dealing with our war against the Macedonians, episode 13. So, like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. Alrighty, so looking at this army, 3 bottom tier units, 3 mediums. We do have 4 units of auxiliary Syrian archers, which are really good. Normally, they are amazing. Same with Cretan archers. But thankfully, our roster is quite good, so we don't need to rely on them. Usually, Syrian auxiliaries are like amazing for the Romans and the Seleucids and whatnot, but they'll do just right. They're pretty well armored. We've also got our general unit we're going to move out here, and we've got a skirmish and a cavalry unit to help on out. So, at war with the Macedonians, they don't have as much of the territory you would expect. For some reason, they had basically the coast of Bulgaria under their control. They had Athena and Edessa, while not having Polpadava, which is Philippopolis, and even, I don't know, that central Balkan territory. I don't know who exactly claims it. Alright, let's swing around here. So we're going to try and general snipe. Well, their general. If we can get rid of him, should be able to get us a better balance of power. So we crushed 1 full stack, losing 3,000. Pyrrhic victory near Edessa. So although the Macedonians are losing this war, they're taking a lot of us with them. We've managed to lose 6,000 so far. So we've deployed 6 full stacks, and the Macedonians have got 3, but they still are doing quite well against us. It just shows you how strong the unit roster is. Oh, so this is Antigonus II. So maybe this was spawned, this army. Because I was like, oh yeah, we've crushed 2 full stacks. There's no way, unless they have one near Pella, that we're going to be intercepted or anything. So I was like surprised. I was like, oh, we just got attacked during the end turn phase. Time to record this episode. So we've had 3 episodes against the Macedonians so far. They've been quite a strong adversary. This is what I would expect the Seleucids to be. So how's everyone doing out there in the big wide world? Hopefully you're enjoying this Total War campaign. I'm still having an absolute blast. And once we crush this army, we should be able to push to Pella. There was a full stack of Athenians there, but looks like they're probably going to head home. They were essentially defending the settlement. They are still a client state of them. Okay, still trying to focus here on their cavalry, so let's try and open this up slightly. They've got a skirmish unit, an elephant unit, and a cavalry unit. Surely that should be more than enough to dispatch them. And then hopefully they can just try and push against us, and we'll use our archers as best we can. So we moved over the Bosphorus with 4 full stacks, and this is the weakest of the 4. So we basically got whittled down to 3. So although this army has been caught, attacked, and ambushed by the Macedonians here, even if we do lose, it's not going to be catastrophic, because there's going to be 2 stacks as reinforcements, and we still have a navy to hit Pella, and there's like a stack and a bit near Pergamon. Okay, so now that's looking a bit better. Oh, they're moving some cavalry around here. Just have to be a little bit careful, but they are going to try and hit my front line. Okay. Simsy, why are you corner camping? That's cheating. No. We're going to red line camp this. Hey. I'm going to use everything to my advantage. Or otherwise we sit in the open field and just get cooked, so you tell me. Okay. Archers starting to skirmish. They are a little bit intertwined too much there, but they all are starting to fire, which is nice. Okay, come on. Now we're going for their mediums. Yeah. Damn it. Oh well. It happens sometimes. We had a pretty bad... oh, well, it worked out well in Arabia. We lost, but we ultimately won. We lost the battle, but then we won 2 back-to-back and then took the city. It happens. So what? 13 episodes, lost 2 battles. If that. It's not too bad. Hey, it happens sometimes. You win some, you lose some, that's total war. You gotta continue on. Amen, flee the field of battle. Shameful display. Well, although we just lost this army, it might be okay because then it's not embedded in Pella. We might be able to give these other 2 full stacks chase. They might be able to give chase and keep them in the open field. Close defeat. Alright, so looking at the casualties sustained and inflicted, we lost half our army. They lost 1,000. But to be fair, they did lose their general in the process, so he was a pretty good commander. 7-star. They only outnumbered us by 500 or so. They just had a better army. Yeah, I think that spawned. That's a really, really good army build. Severe lack of cavalry, though. And they captured 300 of our Indian boys. Deployed 4,000. Lost 2,300. 1.6k remaining, though. God. I don't think it matters, because we can't even get the replenishment of them anyway. Although they're like top tier, S tier Indian infantry units, we just don't have the replenishment. It's going to take quite some time to Hindufy Greece anyway. Alright, so... wow, let's break this down and replenish and repair. Build up to go against Sparta and Athens. I think that would be quite fun. But now, the Indian Empire borders Rome. And we've completed our main objective of taking the Macedonian capital, Pella. Okay, so Larissa's now been defeated. I think it's time to officially go to war with Athens. Now, unfortunately, they're not at war with anyone. I guess they're technically independent now because, well, Macedon has been destroyed. We'll call the Arab, Persian, and Parthian alliance. They're going to come with us. And there's a full stack here of Athenians. These armies are a little bit weak. And there's a full stack here in the north as well. That still hasn't moved south. I don't know why they were continuing to sit up there. But regardless, let's move down and let's get this army to besiege Athens. It would win anyway in an auto-resolve. That's insane. Okay, let's move you here and let's get Ashoka to surround this Athenian army. Now, it shouldn't bounce too far. Okay, so it is going to bounce there, but because we're blocking it, the settlement, we're going to be able to just focus on that army. So, okay, so they're all going to come in. Perfect. This is exactly what we want. So this should be a better fight. So we're bringing 10,000 against their 3,400. Let's fight this one upon the battlefield. Let's go. Here we go. The Battle of Athens, 255. This is a crazy looking battle map. But here we go. Macedonian pikes, now loyal and have bent the knee to the Mauryan Empire. And we've also got some Thessalian hoplites there as well. We do have some mercenary barbarians coming with us. Syrian archers. Most of the ethnic Indian units are now the general's bodyguard, the cavalry, and potentially really just the archers. But here are the last few members of Greek democracy. The wise owl of Athens. Let's take this Athenian city. And I don't know. Who would... So Athena is the god of Athens. Who should take it in her place? I'm sure there's some cool Indian god we can name it to. Alright, so we are just going to move my infantry up here, make it a little bit nicer. There's a massive slope on that right hand side, so we will have to be a little bit careful in our approach. But overall, just wait until we get overwhelming force, and then we'll march on in. Now, unfortunately for them, if they had probably that full stack in the south, it would have been a little bit different, but it's not to be. Let's advance with my archers as well. And let's continue on. Once Athens falls, Sparta is next on the chopping block. But now moving westward, Rome is having an interesting campaign. 100 turns in. They don't have Illyria fully under their control. They do control Epirus and a small province there. They don't have Cisalpine Gaul. Maybe they're doing better in North Africa and against Carthage. Who knows? Alright, let's speed things up slightly. 14,000 or so man battle. Here we go. India versus Athens. We've crushed so many ethnic Greek states. Bactria, the Seleucids, Pergamon, Cameria, Anatolia, Macedon, and now soon to be Athens. Let's rally up. Move my cavalry on the left hand side. And let's advance. Try and at least put 3-4 units on the sides, not matching it exactly. You have a tendency in total war line battles, like, I don't know what it is. I guess it's like symmetrically. Like, you just want to line up your army with theirs, but it's actually not advantageous to do so. If you've got 2-3 spare units on the left and right corners of your front line, you're better off overlapping them and then flanking and running around. We do have to be a little bit careful on that right-hand side, simply because there is a slope, and we don't want to get caught too far down there. So, let's move on up. We do have numerical supremacy with 40 units. We're going to have another 20 as additional reinforcements, so we'll take our time. We do have some Indian heavy infantry here, but we only can recruit them from our Far Eastern territories now. So, it's at a point where it just takes so long to move over here. It's really just not worth it. Rotating them in. But here are our Hellenic units. Essentially mercenaries now. Looking to fight for dictator, god emperor of the East, Ashoka. The Greeks feared Xerxes of the East. Now they should fear Ashoka, who's carved a massive empire. He's definitely fulfilled his father's ambition, who was a crucial part in basically setting up how well this campaign has done. That Arabian conquest was a part of his design. And
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
the Southern Persian. Okay, so a little bit of skirmishing is coming out. The Athenians are trying to push my right-hand side. And our ethnic Indian archers are getting their shots off. Make sure we're in a formation. I'm going to be a little bit cautious with my 3 generals because we need to try and rank them up a bit. It's probably because while we're like nearly teetering on revolts, a lot of the Indian court probably want to break away. Honestly, it'd nearly be advantageous to nearly partition the Mauryan Empire at this point. The empire that's in Europe, essentially, in Asia or the Middle East. rather than India itself to generals. Because, like, at the moment, I guess it's pretty secular, this nation of ours. It'd just be so hard, because it's such a hodgepodge of different cultures already. Maybe we can take something from the Ottomans. Ironically, we do have a lot of Ottoman future territory. Okay, so let's move here. But the horse lords at the moment, the Turks are hanging out the steppes at this point in time. Alright, let's give out some attack orders here, and we'll try and wrap around and get these Athenian dogs. Okay, let's go for this. Make sure we focus on the general unit, and then we'll be laughing. Okay, lock them down.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Okay. And then we'll try and neutralize that full stack in the north that's teetering on pillar. Okay. And then, yeah, I can't really imagine any Greeks coming after us now. Chimeria's still a nation, but I don't think they're going to attack us. Because that was a faction we're at war with that was Greek. Haven't heard much of Ptolemy. Don't know what he's doing. I think he's too busy focusing on the kingdom of Kush. And the Arabs and Persians down there. Because we completely bypassed that. We never pushed into Ptolemaic Egypt. I suppose we saved some time. Because we're getting to what I really wanted to see in this particular series. I knew it would take a couple weeks to do. And just a couple tens of hours of gameplay. Finally push west and have Indian units fighting ethnic Greeks. That's what we wanted to see. Nice. It's in the battle there. Just going to spend a couple more minutes running them down. Perfect. We only lost 436. Crikey. Syrian Arch is doing really well. But we've just absolutely decimated their army there. Ashoka notching up another. Okay, so thankfully for me, it looks like Sparta during the end turn phase has actually moved out towards Athens. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we trespassed when we ran down the last of the Athenians. So they do have another army back. So that's going to be better than fighting within Sparta itself. Although Sparta doesn't have walls, still dealing with the garrison would be annoying. So we're going to straight up war deck them. They're not at war with anyone, which is a shame. They do have 4 units of legendary Spartan warriors, and we really haven't replenished that well after that Athenian conquest. Although we've conquered the Greek peninsula here, it's come at a massive cost. We've lost upwards of nearly 15,000 infantry soldiers, which is definitely a massive toll for this conflict. So if we're going strictly on manpower, we could be doing better. But anyway, we're going to be able to bounce them here, and God Emperor Ashoka is going to have another glorious victory, you'd hope. So let's play this one. An interesting army build they're fielding for a Spartan army. Okay, so let's get stuck into this one. Foggy, can we get a clear day? Taking a little bit to load. Okay, let's start the deployment. Ooh, interesting. So as we load on in initially, the topography of this battle map is incredibly conducive to the Spartans. They've taken the high ground. I see. Alright, so they have 4 units of like decent hoplite units. Spartan warriors. The general's bodyguard is going to be busted, so that's something we have to watch out and target for. Now, interestingly enough, we've got so much reinforcements coming in, but Ashoka's main army now, because the ethnic Indian units have been crushed, the Persian corps has been taken out, the Arabian. Now we're actually fighting with ethnic Greek pikes, Macedonian, those from Pergamon and whatnot. But so we're going to be able to go toe to toe with the Spartans to some extent, essentially matching hoplite ability with theirs. So we're going to try and rally up here as best we can. We'll go and unite and then push in one, well, cohesive push. They do have a interesting high ground advantage. Now they do have some cavalry, which is surprising. 3 units. So yeah, I would nearly say they have cavalry supremacy over us. We do have elephants in our general's bodyguard, but I've been quite hawkish with them throughout this series, and we've lost a lot of generals because of it. So we do have to be a little bit careful. Politically and dynastically, it's a little bit sketchy for us. We're having political problems with the other parties because essentially what happened is, I guess Bindusara died a little bit young. Ashoka has solidified his rule, but because Ashoka's lost so many sons and brothers-in-laws and, well, brothers, those with like hundreds of political influence, and essentially we've got these political parties that are sitting, these old political parties who essentially are leaders that have like, what, 200, 300, 400 influence. They have a lot of sway still back in, well, India and in this new territory, so we just have to be a little bit careful with our generals. Because if Ashoka dies, I could see this kingdom falling into essentially what happened to Alexander's, being partitioned amongst his generals. Ptolemy, Seleucus, and Bactria and whatnot. Okay, so we're going to try and move my skirmishers here. Try and get back up and around the back of this hill. And then we'll try and target their general's bodyguard. If we might get lucky, because I don't particularly want to fight heavily trained Spartan warriors. But once Sparta is defeated, annexed, and conquered, the Greek peninsula is fully under Mauryan Empire Indian occupation. And then I guess we replenish and repair, build up, switch over the libraries and universities to Eastern, get that research rate up nice and high. And then we've got a couple of options. We can just straight up end the campaign. I can't really see us losing. Maybe you would like to see the Mauryans go up against the Romans. That could be quite interesting, but they seem to have not really progressed out of the Italian peninsula. So I don't know how particularly well their campaign is going. It just sometimes depends. Macedon has had an amazing series, to be honest. Same with Armenia and Persia. It just sometimes happens. That's the sandbox experience of Total War. Different things happen each time. Alright, so we're starting to skirmish that general's bodyguard now, which is really nice. And I might just try and open up some angles here, because we don't particularly want to be, well, blobbed up, taking missile hits, which we're bloody doing. And we're going to try and hit them in a better spot. Okay, so it's interesting. We do have skirmisher supremacy of them, so it looks like they're going to try and close the distance and move against my front line. But we've still got a couple of decisions to make. We could betray the Persians. At the moment, we're not getting trade through there. But we're just so far away. So I don't think moving these armies back would be a good idea. We do have enough Imperium just to get armies, but we just need to reshuffle our approach. I think I might keep loyal to Parthia, because them being up in the Caucasus and the Caspian Sea doesn't really bother me. And we do have a decent alliance with the Arab tribes that are focusing on Ptolemy. So I think it's really Persia. So 2 things we can do: betray the Persians, the Median Empire, and then maybe make plans and preparations to go against Rome. We do border now with the Illyrian pirates that have taken over Thrace, which is interesting in itself. I think they did that because they kind of got pushed out by the Romans. But because we haven't taken Ptolemy out either, we haven't bumped up against Carthage. Alright, still trying to focus on their general. They're starting to hit my front line, and those additional reinforcements have now come in, but they don't have very many men per unit. Okay, still focusing on this general unit. We've managed to make one of the cavalry units retreat. Oh, that's a venomous volley there against us. But we're still trying to target their Spartan infantry, and they just don't know what to do. We've got 4 units of skirmishers hitting them, and they are just incredibly bloodied, battled, and surrounded. They pushed out against us, I guess, to posture, and now we've caught them out in the open field. You'd think it'd only be a matter of time once he trespassed against them. Alright, so my skirmishers now are nearly depleted. Yikes.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Okay, so let's just try and run down as many of them as we can. They're starting to wrap around us. We've got those additional reinforcements. Alright, I'm going to move my cavalry out. It doesn't matter if we lose one of those generals. I've just been so aggressive with them. Alright. General units still holding. I can't see the Spartans winning this one. And they don't have any more stacks. So, once this is done, Greece has fallen to the Mauryan Empire. Really interesting playthrough so far. But there's still heaps of other factions we haven't played as. I haven't actually played as Nabatea. Saba actually might be cool. There's still so many DEI factions to play as. Maybe play as a proto-Arabian state might be kind of fun. Okay, jeez, that unit's doing stuff. Okay, so although those skirmishers flanked incredibly well, focused all their skirmisher power on that general unit, we still haven't crushed them. The general, that is. They're still holding. You got to give it to the brave Spartans. They are fighting to the absolute bitter end. And now our men are wavering. Okay, let's rally. Centers buckling. Still focusing on them. Maybe we just need to crush the army rather than the general, because they are the S-tier Spartan infantry. Okay, let's rotate here. I just remember they were just so good in my Spartan campaign. I'd highly recommend that. It might be a little bit dated now. 2019, maybe 2020. That came out. The thing is, like, once you conquer Greece, you're basically loving life. The Spartan unit roster is so good. But it can be a little bit tricky going up against an eventual Athenian Macedonian coalition. Sometimes Epirus can throw a spanner into the works. And depending where Larissa lies as well on the Romans. So you do have to be a little bit careful. And then, like, you can expend all your efforts, all your manpower, all your energy focusing on uniting Greece. But even if you do win, it's going to be quite narrow. And then, oh, look who it is. It's the Romans. They tend to rock up. Alright, we've got a massive blob of units here. We've got so many unit cards there floating, but some of those units have only got like 10 men per it. So let's try and do our best there. Hit that phalanx. I reckon we're going to crush the main army before we get this general. That's probably what we're going to have to try and do. And then get the entire army just to focus on them. But here we go. Tens of thousands of Indians surrounding the Spartans. Who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? Alright, they're about to capitulate. Yeah, look at this. We don't even have to face the general unit. Perfect. We've just done such damage already. Oh, let's continue on to get that charge. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Decisive victory against the Spartans. 600 lost in the end. 300 Spartans, more like 3,000 now. They still got crushed in the end. Decisive victory. That's what you get for marching out. Going on a walk with his personal bodyguard. It's kind of near Thermopylae, nearly. Alright, let's run that down. The Persians are coming. No, it's the Indians. Wow, wow. This time around. It's not God Emperor Xerxes, it's God Emperor Ashoka. So let's move down to Sparta. There's no wall, so we are going to be able to take it in one turn, which is nice. So what are... oh jeez. What one can push and take it in one turn? We'll try and get Ashoka down there. He's actually better off to go navally there, which is interesting. Let's get the army from Athens. Nice. And, oh, we only need the one there to get a good order resolve. We'll definitely bring in the two just to push that one back. If we can get rid of that general's bodyguard with 300, that's pretty good. And, perfect. Now we're going to have to face the garrison. I reckon that unit actually would have done a fair amount of damage. So, that's it. She's all over Red Rover. Sparta has fallen to Mauryan Empire occupation. And that's it. Faction destroyed. We've destroyed the mighty Sparta. And now we've taken 2 pieces of territory in Hellas. We've got the statue of Zeus now under our control. And Knossos is defiant. I guess Rhodes as well. Okay. Let's make sure we replenish and repair. Oh, nice. And we've got access to these Spartan hoplites. Alright, well, unfortunately on that note, it's time to wrap things up here and potentially the series. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more. Like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. I always keep the saves of all of my campaigns. So let me know if you'd like to see a war against Persia or Parthia betray our allies, or maybe against the Romans. But anyway, guys, thank you for supporting the series. Stay tuned for more Total War campaigns on the channel. My name's been Simpsy. Much love from Australia. I'll see you in the next one.